Ever feel like you need, I don't know, a crash course just to keep up with the headlines?
Obviously.
Like the world's spinning so fast you barely have time to tie your intellectual shoelaces before the next big story hits.
It's relentless.
Well, you are definitely not alone there. And that's exactly why you're here with us. Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Glad to be here.
Today, we're not just skimming the surface. No, we're plunging headfirst into, well, a towering stack of recent news sources.
Quite a stack.
We've got everything from the rapid-fire updates on Google News to the really in-depth stuff from India Today and the Economic Times, plus that crucial global perspective from UN News. Our mission: think of us as your personal navigators through this vast ocean of information. We're here to pull out the most crucial bits, the real nuggets of knowledge, separate the signal from all the noise.
Such a lot of noise.
Oh, yeah. And if we're lucky, maybe even stumble upon a few surprising facts just to keep things interesting. It's like your personal shortcut to being really well-informed, without getting completely buried under an avalanche of articles.
Trying to make sense of it all.
Exactly. And the flavor for today's deep dive, it's going to be a comprehensive news update, but with a sharp edge.
A bit of bite.
A bit of bite, yeah. We're going to try and cut through the jargon, maybe call out anything that looks like plain old hypocrisy.
Which often happens.
It does. And yes, we might even toss in a pop culture reference or two, just to make even the dense topics surprisingly clear. Our aim is just to tell you what's happening, but to help you understand the undercurrents, the why and the so what.
Precisely. The goal really is to go beyond just the immediate headlines. We want to help you find that broader context and truly understand why it matters in this incredibly rapid-fire news cycle we're all living in. There's always more to learn, right? And considering multiple perspectives, it really enriches understanding. Especially with complex global issues, they rarely have simple answers. It's about building a more complete picture, piece by piece.
Couldn't agree more. So with that in mind, let's not waste another second. Okay, Let's unpack this. And let's start with a story that's got some serious international drama vibes, complete with accusations of duplicity and a global tug-of-war over resources and influence. The global tug-of-war. Tariffs, oil, and accusations of hypocrisy. Okay, first up, our first major story comes straight from the high-stakes world of international trade and energy, and it's quite the bombshell.
It definitely made waves.
We're talking about former U.S. President Donald Trump. Just hours before these reports hit, according to Bloomberg and CNBC, he threatened to ramp up and impose steeper tariffs on India.
Yeah, that came out very recently.
Now, this isn't just some random trade spat. The specific reason cited for this looming tariff hike: India's continued purchases of Russian oil.
Right, that's the trigger point.
It's almost like a sequel to an ongoing geopolitical thriller, isn't it? Where an ally suddenly gets cast as the antagonist for making economic choices that, well, seemingly contradict a larger geopolitical strategy.
It's a very direct challenge, absolutely. And India's response has been, shall we say, less than subtle. Very firm.
Oh, really? How so?
As reported by India Today and the Economic Times, New Delhi issued what they called a hard-hitting response. They unequivocally called the U.S. pressure unjustified and unreasonable.
Strong words.
Very. India's consistent stance has really been a declaration of its strategic autonomy. They argue these oil imports are, quote, essential for affordable fuel prices for its massive population. We're talking over 1 billion people, right?
A huge number.
Their energy needs, they say, are guided purely by national interests. It's a position they've maintained with remarkable consistency, actually, despite all the external pressure.
So they're basically saying our people need affordable energy, end of story.
Pretty much. It's a clear statement that their energy security and the economic stability for their citizens are paramount, and they won't compromise on that.
That clarity from India, it makes a lot of sense, especially when you think about the sheer scale of their population.
Exactly.
We're not just talking about a country in the abstract.
No.
We're talking millions upon millions of households, industries, all needing affordable fuel for daily life, for economic growth.
It's fundamental.
So let's dig a bit deeper here. What exactly is the broader energy landscape? Why isn't Trump's tariff move likely to, really shake India's oil ties with Russia? despite these very public threats and strong rhetoric.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is the underlying economic reality. It really gets down to brass tacks.
Okay.
Despite all the political pressure, various sources indicate that India's reliance on affordable energy just makes breaking those ties extremely difficult, maybe even impossible in the short to medium term.
Just two to...
India is a colossal energy consumer, currently the third largest oil consumer globally. And Russian oil, especially with the substantial discounts it offers compared to traditional market rates.
Right. Those discounts are key.
They play a crucial, almost indispensable role in maintaining fuel price stability for its citizens, for its rapidly growing economy. This isn't just about, making a profit somewhere. It's a very pragmatic decision driven by economic necessity. It's aimed squarely at cushioning its populace from global energy price volatility.
So market forces kind of trumping political statements.
In many ways, yes. The market dynamics, particularly the availability of discounted oil from Russia, often override political rhetoric when it comes to essential commodities, especially for a developing nation of India's scale. And you see this echoed in official statements, too. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has repeatedly said the global energy market should not be one dominated by a few.
Pushing back against dictation.
Exactly. It's a clear pushback against any attempt to dictate India's sovereign economic choices. It also highlights this broader geopolitical trend, doesn't it?
Okay.
The rise of a multipolar world, where nations, especially those with significant economic weight like India, are asserting their right to pursue their national interests independently, even when it means diversifying relationships and, frankly, challenging established norms.
And this leads us right into what many are now calling the Exhibit A of U.S. lies and hypocrisy, according to India Today.
Yes, that caused quite a stir.
It's quite the revelation, isn't it? Remember that widely circulating video? Seemed to pop up out of nowhere?
The Garcetti video.
Exactly. It features former U.S. Ambassador Eric Garcetti basically admitting that the U.S. encouraged India to buy Russian oil to keep global prices in check.
Right, to stabilize the market.
And it's like you tell someone, hey, do this thing, it'll help the global economy, keep prices stable, and then you turn around and threaten to punish them for doing exactly that.
It does look contradictory.
That's a plot twist even M. Night Shyamalan would appreciate, maybe, if it weren't so incredibly serious for international relations. It definitely raises a serious eyebrow, doesn't it?
That video certainly adds a potent layer of complexity. And it fuels this widespread perception of a double standard.
You think?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, foreign affairs expert Robinder Sachdev, he is quoted in the Economic Times, and he raised a really important, very direct question.
What was that?
He asked, why is Trump not pressing down on China with same intensity?
Good question. Because China buys Russian oil too, right? A lot of it.
Exactly. And this isn't just a rhetorical question. It's backed by data. The Global Trade Research Initiative, GTRI, they actually highlight China as the larger Russian oil buyer.
So China buys more Russian oil than India, but the pressure is mainly on India.
That's what the data suggests, and that's the perception being fueled. This glaring discrepancy immediately raises questions about selective pressure. Is this really about the oil imports themselves, or is it more about broader geopolitical maneuvering, maybe targeting specific nations for strategic reasons that go beyond the stated rationale?
So playing favorites, potentially.
It strongly suggests there might be an underlying bias at play, focusing pressure where it serves specific political or strategic ends rather than applying a consistent global standard. It's definitely a situation that encourages critical thinking about stated intentions versus observable actions of global powers.
Okay, so if we pull back a bit, what does this all truly mean for the global stage, for India specifically? Is this just about oil, or is it a sign of deeper, more intricate geopolitical strategies playing out? What's the bigger message here from both sides?
Well, I think this really reflects those deeper geopolitical strategies you mentioned, and just the inherent complexity of navigating international energy markets in this rapidly evolving global order. India, in this scenario, is unequivocally asserting its strategic autonomy. That seems clear.
Standing its ground.
Yes. It's navigating a multipolar world where it feels it cannot afford to alienate a major energy supplier, especially one offering competitive prices when global energy markets are so volatile. It's a very delicate balancing act, isn't it? It requires deft diplomacy to maintain relationships with traditional partners like the U.S. while also safeguarding its vital economic interests.
Like walking a tightrope.
Exactly. And Jaishankar's repeated remark about the world not being one dominated by a few, it isn't just a catchy phrase. It underscores India's deeply held desire for a more equitable global order, one where nations can pursue their interests without undue external pressure, without being forced into these binary us or them choices.
So from India's view, it's sovereignty and development.
Precisely. Sovereign decision-making for national development. And from a global perspective, it's a clear signal that the influence of any single superpower is being challenged by rising powers who are demanding a more diversified, more flexible international system. This whole episode, it really encourages us to question the assumptions behind these unilateral threats and to recognize that intricate web of dependencies and ambitions shaping global relations today.
Given this kind of external pressure, it's really not surprising then that India seems to be increasingly looking inward for economic strength.
Makes sense.
India Today reports on Prime Minister Modi's emphatic Swadeshi call, which is essentially giving India's economic nationalism a new voice. This feels perfectly timed with Trump's tariff threats, doesn't it? Almost like a strategic countermove. You pressure us, we double down on building our own strength.
It absolutely reads like a strategic response. The Swadeshi, call that term, is deeply rooted in India's independence movement, advocating self-reliance. It is indeed about boosting domestic industries, promoting self-reliance, reducing dependence on foreign goods and services. That's the core idea.
But is it just about building walls? Protectionism?
Well, that's the potential pitfall. The article does warn about avoiding the trappings of India's conservative industrialism. That means seeking a delicate balance.
How so?
Historically, an over-reliance on just import substitution, just replacing foreign goods with local ones, has sometimes stifled innovation. It made domestic industries less competitive globally. So modern Swadeshi seems to aim more at fostering robust, competitive domestic industries. Industries that can not only serve the Indian market, but also succeed globally.
So strength from within, but still playing on the world stage.
Exactly. Reducing vulnerability to external pressures like tariff threats, while still integrating strategically into global supply chains. It's a tricky tightrope walk, like you said, between national pride, economic resilience, and maintaining global competitiveness. It really signifies a long-term vision to build internal strength to withstand external shocks, whether they're market-driven or politically motivated.
And India isn't just, talking the talk with these nationalistic calls. They're demonstrably walking the walk. There are concrete plans to cushion any potential blows from these tariff threats or future trade disputes.
That's right.
It seems like a very proactive stance, not just reactive.
Precisely. The Economic Times details that India plans a really significant Rs 20,000 crore export promotion mission. The goal is specifically to offset U.S. tariff impact and boost global trade.
20,000 crore. That's a huge number. What is that in, U.S. dollars?
That's roughly equivalent to over 2.4 billion U.S. dollars, a massive financial commitment, earmarked specifically to enhance India's export capabilities. So this proactive approach, it shows India isn't just reacting to threats. It's strategically planning to diversify its trade relationships, strengthen its export base, become less reliant on any single market or partner.
Spreading the risk.
Exactly. The mission is designed to identify new markets, streamline export processes, support domestic industries in becoming more globally competitive. It's a clear signal to the world. India is committed to its economic growth path, and it will implement measures to mitigate external pressures, ensuring it can keep expanding its global trade footprint rather than just cowering under pressure. This multi-pronged strategy really underscores India's growing confidence on the world stage, asserting its economic independence.
If you think about it from a really relatable perspective, like a household budget level.
Okay.
Imagine you're in charge of your country's grocery budget, right?
Oh.
And someone, maybe a powerful neighbor, tells you where you cannot buy discounted apples that are essential for your family. But then you find out they were secretly buying those very same discounted apples from that very same place.
The hypocrisy angle again.
Yeah. You'd probably feel a bit targeted, wouldn't you? And quite frankly, pretty annoyed.
Understandably so.
It's a simple analogy, maybe, but it really highlights that perceived hypocrisy that's causing such a stir here. It boils down to fairness, consistency in global dealings. 2. Domestic headlines. Security scares, political squabbles, and social shifts. All right, let's pivot now. From the global chessboard to the bustling, often dramatic domestic scene in India.
Okay, shifting focus.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Or perhaps concerningly uninteresting if you happen to be a security guard.
Uh-oh.
The Times of India reported a slightly comical but also deeply concerning incident. A dummy bomb goes undetected in Red Fort's security drill.
Yikes.
This led to a pretty swift and serious response, 7 personnel suspended. It's almost like a real-life version of that classic scene in a heist movie,
Yeah.
where they test the security system, and the dummy proves way too good at its job.
The test fails because it succeeds too well.
Exactly. You set up a fake emergency,
Yeah.
and everyone completely messes it. You almost can't make this stuff up.
Indeed. And while it might have that comedic undertone, the implications are actually quite serious.
You think? Why?
Well, security drills like these are absolutely critical. They test and enhance the preparedness, the vigilance of security forces, especially at a site as iconic, historically significant, and politically sensitive as the Red Fort.
It's not just any old building.
Absolutely not. This monument isn't just a tourist attraction, it's a potent symbol of national heritage and sovereignty. The failure to detect the dummy bomb signifies a serious lapse in procedure, in training, in overall vigilance. It just underscores the vital importance of consistent, rigorous training and accountability within security forces to prevent real threats from slipping through.
So the whole point is to find the weak spots before something real happens.
Precisely. The entire purpose of these drills is to find weaknesses before a real incident occurs, allowing for corrective measures. So, while it's definitely embarrassing for the personnel involved, it serves as a necessary wake-up call. A tangible demonstration of where improvements are urgently needed in the security apparatus.
And the concern doesn't stop with just dummy bombs, right? This security lapse happened in a context where there have been actual attempts at intrusion reported too, which just amplifies the urgency.
Exactly right. This incident is set against a backdrop of actual, real security challenges. NDTV, The Hindu, Hindustan Times, they all reported arrests. 5 Bangladeshi immigrants, identified slightly differently across reports as nationals or illegal immigrants, who were apparently forcibly trying to enter Red Fort.
Forcibly. So not just wandering in by mistake.
The language forcibly trying to enter suggests a deliberate, unauthorized attempt at access. This real-life incident, combined with the alarming failure of the dummy bomb drill, vividly highlights the heightened security context around such a sensitive historical site. It underscores the persistent challenges authorities face in maintaining consistent vigilance against various forms of intrusion, whether those are accidental breaches, genuine attempts at illegal entry, or perhaps more malicious intentions.
It paints a worrying picture.
The confluence of these events, it paints a picture of a security system under pressure, one demanding constant reevaluation and reinforcement.
Okay, moving from security vulnerabilities to the intricate dynamics of the political arena, we've got some classic Indian power plays simmering.
Always something happening.
PM Narendra Modi was scheduled to address a crucial NDA meeting. This is ahead of the vice presidential polls and amid a persistent parliament logjam, according to Mint in today's news. This isn't just a casual get-together, is it? Sounds more like a high-stakes chess match where every move is calculated.
These meetings are indeed profoundly significant in Indian politics. They act as critical strategic gatherings.
Why so crucial?
The National Democratic Alliance, the NDA, is the ruling coalition. Its cohesion is absolutely paramount for effective governance. During these meetings, leaders consolidate support, they formulate electoral strategies for upcoming polls like the vice presidential election, which holds symbolic and procedural importance, and, crucially, they address internal party dynamics, potential disagreements among alliance partners.
And the parliament logjam part, what does that mean?
The reference to a parliament logjam is key. It essentially means legislative business is stalled, ground to a halt due to strong disagreements, protests, or disruptions between political parties.
So nothing's getting done in parliament.
Pretty much. And when parliament is gridlocked like that, these backroom discussions, these alliance meetings, become even more vital for any kind of political progress. For finding common ground, ensuring the government can still push its agenda or respond to pressing issues. It's all about maintaining a unified front and political momentum when facing opposition challenges.
And speaking of internal dynamics, wow, we had a political spat that seemed to escalate quicker than a TikTok dance challenge gone viral.
Oh, the Trinamool Congress one?
Yeah, involving Trinamool Congress MP Kalyan Banerjee and Mahol Moitra. India Today reported on Banerjee's furious response and subsequent resignation after Moitra reportedly referred to him as a pig.
Yeah, that was quite something.
Wow. That's not just a disagreement. That's a full-blown political insult. And the fallout was immediate and severe.
That incident certainly highlighted the often contentious and, at times, frankly, unparliamentary nature of political discourse that can unfortunately emerge.
Unparliamentary is putting it mildly.
Kalyan Banerjee stated publicly that Maho Moitra's comments were dehumanizing and unfortunate. Not just personally, he said, but in the context of political debate. His resignation from his position as the party chief whip in the Lok Sabha, the lower house of parliament, it really underscores the severity of the fallout. It shows how deeply personal attacks can impact political relationships and party cohesion.
So real consequences.
Absolutely. While political debate can and often should be heated, passionate even, there's usually an implicit expectation of a certain level of decorum. Mutual respect.
Usually.
When that boundary is crossed, as it clearly seems to have been in this instance, it can lead to significant internal strife, public criticism. And it often distracts from the more substantive policy discussions that should be happening. It definitely raises an important question about the state of political discourse, maybe the erosion of civility in legislative bodies.
Okay, on a potentially more unifying note, or at least highly anticipated, there's been some significant buzz around J&K statehood to be restored.
Yes, Jammu and Kashmir.
This follows President Draupadi Murmu's recent meetings with PM Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah. That would be a huge development if it happens, right? A major shift in the political landscape for the region.
It would be massive, yes.
But Omar Abdullah, a prominent political figure from the region, ever the realist, had a pretty cautious reaction. He basically said, nothing will happen tomorrow.
Managing expectation.
A healthy dose of political cynicism, maybe. Or perhaps just a realistic appraisal of a very complex situation.
The restoration of statehood for Jammu and Kashmir has been a long-standing, deeply emotional demand for many residents and political parties there, ever since its special status under Article 370 was abrogated back in 2019, leading to its reorganization into 2 union territories.
Right, that was a huge change.
These high-level meetings certainly fueled speculation. They ignited hopes among various political factions that a return to greater autonomy, more local governance, might be on the horizon. From the perspective of the region's populace, restoring statehood would signify a return of democratic rights, self-determination.
So why the cynicism from Abdullah?
Omar Abdullah's comment reflects, I think, a deep skepticism. It's rooted in past political developments, maybe unfulfilled promises, and just the understanding that such significant policy shifts often take considerable time. Complex negotiation, immense political will are needed to actually materialize.
Real talk is cheap.
It's a classic example of political signaling versus concrete action. It raises that important question. How much of this buzz is genuine intent to address a long-standing demand, and how much is just political signaling, maybe ahead of future elections or just to gauge public reaction? It really underscores the cautious approach many in J&K adopt, given their tumultuous recent history.
Okay, let's turn now to some societal debates and, oh joy, our ever-present workplace woes.
Always relatable.
India Today reported on a Punjab village bans love marriages without family consent, sparking quite a row. On the surface, it sounds almost like something straight out of a period drama or classic Bollywood film, but with very real modern-day implications for individual autonomy. You can just imagine the social ramifications there.
This resolution, reportedly passed unanimously by the village council, the panchayat, is quite striking.
What exactly does it say?
It explicitly states that it prohibits couples who marry without the approval of their families from residing in the village or nearby areas.
So basically banishment.
Effectively, yes. Furthermore, it warns of punitive action against any villagers who support or shelter such couples. It essentially creates a form of social ostracization.
That's intense.
It really highlights this fascinating, often contentious tension between deeply entrenched traditional community norms and evolving individual freedoms and rights in modern India.
2 worlds colliding.
On one hand, supporters of such bans argue they preserve social order, cultural values, the family unit. On the other hand, critics argue they severely infringe upon personal autonomy, the right to choose one's partner, and they often lead to significant personal hardship, mental health issues, and serious human rights concerns, particularly for women.
It raises huge questions.
Absolutely. Fundamental questions about community control versus individual liberty in a democratic society.
Yeah.
How do ancient customs intersect with modern legal frameworks? It's really a microcosm of the larger societal shifts and conflicts playing out across the country.
And finally, a story that probably resonated with anyone who's ever had a truly terrible boss.
Oh, I think I know this one. The Reddit story.
That's the one. Today's news featured a viral Reddit story about an Indian manager wants staff to work on weekends. They refuse. Then his ultimatum. It's such a universal workplace frustration, isn't it? We've all been there, maybe feeling like our work-life balance is being held hostage, or that we're somehow morally obligated to live at our desks. It's almost like a corporate version of a horror movie. The villain is the micromanaging boss. The victims are the overworked employees.
This incident, yeah, it gains significant traction online precisely because it's so relatable. It highlights these pervasive issues of workplace pressure, sometimes exploitative practices that many employees face globally, not just in India.
The ultimatum part is key, too.
Right. The ultimatum, essentially, work weekends or face consequences. It raises important questions about labor rights, employee well-being, those often blurred boundaries of managerial authority, and an increasingly demanding work culture.
What are the wider implications?
The implications of such workplace pressures are severe. They can range from widespread burnout, a sharp decrease in productivity and morale, to just a fundamental breakdown in trust between management and staff. It underscores this ongoing struggle for employees everywhere to achieve a healthy work-life balance, especially in sectors notorious for long hours. And it highlights the critical need for clear policies regarding overtime, reasonable working hours, and most importantly, respecting employee rights to actually have a life outside of work.
The fact it went viral says something, too.
Definitely. The fact that it went viral on Reddit speaks volumes about the collective frustration and the power of shared experience in highlighting these systemic issues. 3. Global challenges and humanitarian concerns.
All right, let's shift gears now to some truly sobering global challenges and humanitarian concerns, things that demand our immediate and sustained attention.
Okay.
And nothing weighs heavier on the headlines right now than the ongoing crisis in Gaza. India Today carries an incredibly stark headline. Reality of Gaza Hunger Games explained as starvation kills scores.
It's horrific.
It's just a gut-wrenching situation, one that goes way beyond politics and strikes right at the core of human suffering.
It is indeed catastrophic and rapidly deteriorating. UN News, India Today, they corroborate this horrific reality. They describe mounting evidence of famine and widespread starvation right across Gaza.
The images.
We're seeing photos of starved children dying, flooding social media, images that are incredibly difficult to process, frankly. And compounding this tragedy, reports that Israeli forces are firing at hungry thousands who rush for the limited aid that manages to even trickle in.
Firing on people trying to get food.
That's what's being reported. This isn't just a humanitarian crisis anymore. It's looking like a systematic catastrophe, where the politics of deprivation seem to be actively feeding on hunger itself. UNICEF, the UN Children's Agency, has grimly described it. Gaza currently is a complete perfect storm of suffering for children.
The perfect storm.
Where access to food, water, medical care is severely compromised, if not entirely blocked, leading to preventable deaths, particularly among the most vulnerable children, the elderly, the sick. This paints a picture of deliberate, widespread suffering that should frankly alarm the entire global community.
And intertwined with that immense suffering in Gaza are the desperate pleas for the hostages, which adds another layer of human tragedy, complexity, to this already devastating conflict.
Absolutely.
The humanitarian toll extends to all sides involved.
Absolutely. The plight of the emaciated Israeli hostages, held captive under what must be dire conditions, is also a profoundly significant and tragic part of this puzzle. It adds another layer of human suffering, another layer of urgency. India Today Global reported that Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu orders full occupation of Gaza to pressure Hamas over hostages.
Full occupation.
Yes, a decision that UN News also corroborates, noting it could lead to a full occupation of the territory. This signifies a potentially massive escalation, transforming the conflict from targeted operations, perhaps, to complete military control over the entire strip.
And the consequences of that.
It raises incredibly important questions about the long-term human impact, the geopolitical consequences of such severe measures. What will a full occupation mean for the civilian population already on the brink of famine, for the future governance of Gaza, for regional stability? And despite these perilous conditions, UN staff continue to work heroically in Gaza, amidst Unprecedented destruction and suffering, as the UN itself describes it, tirelessly attempting to provide what little aid they can.
Unbelievable courage.
Their commitment, in the face of such overwhelming obstacles, it just underscores the sheer scale of the humanitarian crisis and the immense challenges of delivering aid in such a volatile, besieged, and rapidly deteriorating environment.
Stepping away from Gaza now, let's touch on a few other international developments, things that highlight political accountability, global movement.
Okay.
In Brazil, we've seen a pretty dramatic turn of events. Former President Jair Bolsonaro is now under house arrest.
Yes, that's major news.
The Times of India and Today's News reported his house arrest. The Supreme Court cited restrictions breach, his phone seized, visitors banned. India Today Global added context that this was over coup-related charges.
Serious charges.
That's a pretty rapid and significant fall from grace for a former head of state, isn't it? It sends a powerful message.
It certainly does, and it underscores the extreme severity of the charges he's facing. Being placed under house arrest, coupled with confiscating his phones, stringent visitor bans, it indicates Brazil's Supreme Court views the allegations against him with the utmost seriousness.
Especially the coup attempt part.
Particularly those related to orchestrating or participating in a coup attempt, yes. This is not merely a political setback for him. It's a profound legal development for a former head of state. It reflects, arguably, a robust and independent legal process at work in Brazil, signaling that even former leaders can be held accountable for their actions, especially when those actions are perceived to undermine democratic institutions.
The phone seizures suggest an active investigation, too.
Exactly. Specific details like phone seizures suggest a focused investigation aimed at uncovering evidence. It's definitely a critical moment for Brazilian democracy, testing the strength of its institutions against these serious allegations of subversion of power.
Then there's news that could impact, well, potentially anyone planning a trip to the U.S.
The visa bond rule.
Yeah. India Today Global reported on the U.S. plan's visa bond rule, potentially requiring applicants to pay up to $15,000 for business tourist applicants.
$15,000.
And specifically from countries deemed high overstay risk. 15 grand for a visa bond. That sounds like a pretty hefty security deposit just for a vacation or a business trip, doesn't it?
It's very substantial.
It could certainly be a barrier for many people.
It definitely sounds substantial, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a policy designed to address a very specific concern from the U.S. perspective.
How's it work exactly? Like a deposit.
To simplify this technical issue, yeah, think of a visa bond much like a security deposit you might put down on an apartment. You pay it up front. The understanding is if you adhere precisely to the terms of your lease, or in this case your visa, meaning you leave the country before your visa expires, you get that money back when you depart.
Okay, so you get it back if you follow the rules.
That's the idea. The U.S. government's stated aim with this measure is to curb illegal immigration and visa violations by providing a significant financial incentive for visitors from countries identified as having high overstay risk to adhere to their visa terms and return home.
But it's controversial.
Highly controversial. Critics argue it could disproportionately affect legitimate travelers, particularly from developing nations, making travel prohibitively expensive, potentially limiting cultural exchange, economic exchange. It raises important questions about accessibility, fairness, the underlying data used to categorize these high overstay risk countries, and whether such a measure truly balances security concerns with the need for global mobility.
And finally, in this section, a piece of news that casts a long shadow over global security, suggesting a rollback of certain arms control norms that have been in place for decades.
Indeed. A statement from Dmitry Medvedev, Russia's former president, now deputy chair of their Security Council. As reported by India Today Global, it confirms that Russia abandons missile moratorium.
What does that mean exactly?
It means Russia no longer considers itself bound by a self-imposed ban on deploying certain intermediate-range nuclear weapons. This was a ban that had been effectively in place since the old Cold War era Intermediate-Range Nuclear Forces, or INF Treaty.
The treaty the U.S. left a few years ago.
The one the U.S. withdrew from back in 2019, yes. Medvedev's rationale explicitly blames NATO, attributing the abandonment to NATO's actions. This points to a deepening sense of distrust, escalating tensions between Russia and the Western alliance.
Which is worrying.
Very. This development raises a critical, frankly alarming question about global security and the future of arms control agreements. When a major nuclear power walks away from such a commitment, even a self-imposed one based on a defunct treaty, it often triggers a dangerous ripple effect. It could potentially lead to a new arms race, increased militarization in Europe and beyond, a significant heightening of global tensions. It signals a move back towards an era of less predictability, greater military competition, a development that will undoubtedly be watched very closely by international observers and security analysts worldwide who fear a dangerous escalation.
Sports triumphs and pop culture tidbits.
Okay, wow. After navigating through some pretty intense global and domestic affairs, let's definitely lighten the mood. Let's celebrate some triumphs and maybe chuckle at a few pop culture quirks.
A welcome change of pace.
Starting with a true sporting epic. If you follow cricket, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
The Oval Test.
Yes. India today screamed the headline, 35 runs from hell, how Shubman Gill's India-scripted epic comeback at Oval. This wasn't just a victory, it was an epic 6-run victory. It leveled Series 2-2 and, crucially, meant India retained the trophy.
Incredible finish.
It sounds like a movie plot, right? The underdog pulls off the impossible in the final seconds.
It truly was a testament to grit, resilience, strategic play under immense pressure.
Yeah.
The Oval Test match was an absolute nail-biter, and Shubman Gill and Mohammad Siraj were specifically highlighted by India Today as instrumental in orchestrating this incredible comeback.
Key performances.
Gill's batting, Siraj's crucial bowling right at the death, it turned the tide. And then you have Gautam Gambhir's powerful reaction reported by India Today Global, "We will never surrender."
Sums it up.
It really encapsulates that fierce fighting spirit, the never-say-die attitude that defined that match for India. What's fascinating, I think, is how sports can mirror real-world struggles sometimes, where determination, collective effort, individual brilliance can combine to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds, delivering a psychological victory just as much as a sporting one.
Yeah, it gives everyone a lift.
Exactly. It provides that shared moment of national triumph, a sense of collective identity, a very welcome break from the more challenging headlines we've been discussing.
It just goes to show you sometimes cricket can be just as dramatic, if not more so, than international politics.
And maybe more satisfying.
Definitely more satisfying in its clear-cut victories. And the sheer joy of an improbable comeback. You know, no tariffs involved, just pure sporting prowess.
Simpler stakes.
And moving from the pitch to the screen and beyond, let's dive into some entertainment and lifestyle tidbits. First up, the bizarre but sadly all too common.
Oh, dear.
A Bhopal doctor gets fake Big Boss entry offer, gets duped of Aura's 10 lakh, according to India Today.
10 lakh. That's a lot of money.
That's a significant amount, about 12,000 US dollars lost to a scam. It's just a stark reminder, isn't it? Sometimes chasing those reality TV dreams can turn into a very expensive nightmare.
The lure of fame.
You'd think by now, with all the warnings out there, people would be warier of these kinds of scams. But the allure of fame, quick fortune, it can be a powerful, almost blinding force. It just proves that even highly educated individuals aren't immune to falling for a sophisticated con.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It highlights how even educated, professional individuals can fall victim to sophisticated scams, especially when those scams cleverly prey on those deep-seated aspirations for fame or wealth. Beyond that, India Today also has some other interesting Bollywood buzz.
Like what?
Actress Hansika Motwani reportedly deleted her wedding videos and Instagram posts featuring her husband, sparking immediate divorce rumors after what was a very widely publicized, seemingly fairy tale wedding not long ago.
Wow, social media strikes again.
In the unpredictable world of celebrity, yeah, social media gestures are often interpreted as major life announcements. And then another actress, Urvashi, publicly questioned why the film Aduji Vidham didn't win a national award. She controversially linked it to another film, Empyrean, implying some kind of bias or political maneuvering within the film awards circuit.
Always drama behind the scenes.
These snippets, they offer a fascinating glimpse into that intense celebrity drama, industry politics, the constant public scrutiny that captivates massive audiences, often overshadowing even serious news with their dramatic narratives.
And then there's the delightful, hilariously relatable story from comedian Zakir Khan.
Oh, the BTS story.
Yes, recalling how he was not recognizing BTS band members in Korea. He confessed to India Today he was totally unaware of their immense global popularity at the time, even when encountering them in their home country.
That's amazing.
It's such a wonderfully human, almost universally relatable moment, isn't it? For anyone who's ever been completely out of the loop on a major pop culture phenomenon, especially one that has totally taken the world by storm like BTS.
Fantastic anecdote, yeah. And it truly underscores the immense, almost incomprehensible global popularity of K-pop and BTS in particular.
They're huge.
Their reach extends so far beyond traditional music markets. They've become this cultural, economic, even soft power phenomenon, influencing fashion, youth culture, engaging millions upon millions of fans globally. For someone to be physically in Korea, their home turf, and not recognize them, it really speaks to how localized our cultural bubbles can sometimes be, even in our hyper-connected world.
Good point.
It's a testament to their unparalleled global phenomenon status. And the story just adds this charmingly humble human touch to their massive, almost unbelievable fame. Reminds us that while some trends are global, not everyone is tuned in to every single channel.
And finally, a curious trend that suggests a delightful counter-movement to our ever-increasing screen time.
Oh, I saw this one. Mahjong.
Exactly. India Today reported on why Mahjong is beating screen time. It's an interesting shift, isn't it? Moving away from digital distractions to something far more tactile, more social.
What's truly fascinating here is the resurgence of a centuries-old Chinese tile game like Mahjong as a preferred social activity, particularly among younger demographics, apparently.
Younger people playing Mahjong. Interesting.
The article points out that people are actively putting down their screens and coming together for a fun Mahjong session. This isn't just a fleeting trend, it suggests maybe a broader societal craving for more tangible in-person interactions. Strategic thinking, away from the constant digital noise that dominates our lives.
Getting back to basics.
In a way, Mahjong offers intellectual stimulation, social engagement, a sense of shared community, things that digital platforms often struggle to replicate authentically. It's a powerful reminder, I think, that sometimes the oldest forms of entertainment offer the most fulfilling, grounding social engagement, as people seek more authentic connections in an increasingly digitized world.
Putting down the phone, picking up the tiles.
Exactly. It's a great example of how simple, traditional activities can offer a really meaningful alternative to endless scrolling. Outro.
So as you can definitely tell, we've truly navigated pretty much everything today.
Covered a lot of ground.
From high-stakes trade wars, accusations of hypocrisy on the global stage, all the way to security drills gone awry, intense political spats, and yeah, even the surprising resurgence of a centuries-old tile game.
From terrace to tiles.
Exactly. It really highlights just how quickly, how dramatically the news landscape shifts, and how every corner of the world, global geopolitics, local village customs, even the intricacies of celebrity life, it all contributes to this grand, ever-unfolding tapestry of human events. There's certainly never a dull moment.
No, there isn't.
Yeah.
And if we connect all these seemingly disparate events, try to find the bigger picture, what stands out most powerfully, I think, is how interconnected they truly are.
How so?
Well, a trade dispute over oil can trigger economic nationalism halfway across the world. A security lapse at a monument can expose broader challenges in a nation's infrastructure. A local social custom can spark a national debate about individual rights. In this world of overwhelming information, critical thinking isn't just, a nice-to-have skill. It's absolutely essential.
You have to sift through it all.
Knowing the details from the sources, understanding the nuances, spotting the underlying motivations, even the ones that hint at hypocrisy, that helps us move beyond just consuming headlines. It helps us truly understand the deeper currents at play. And that allows us to form our own informed opinions rather than simply reacting to the latest bulletin or the loudest voice.
Absolutely. And that leaves us with maybe a final thought to ponder as you go about your day. In a world where news cycles move faster than a cricket ball in a test match, and every headline feels like a cliffhanger demanding your attention, how do you choose what to focus on? And maybe more importantly, how do you ensure you're not just consuming headlines, but truly understanding the underlying stories, the different perspectives, the implications, even the ones that call out hypocrisy, so you can truly form your own well-informed opinions and engage thoughtfully with the world around you?
Food for thought.
Definitely. Stay curious, keep seeking out the full picture, and perhaps even revisit some of these topics with fresh eyes, armed with this deeper dive. Until next time, keep diving deep.